In February 2021, I stood in this chamber to speak in favour of recognising the sovereignty and right to self-determination of the people of Artsakh. Yet today, thanks to the deafening silence of our nation's leaders and of foreign governments around the world, the Armenians and Artsakh have been stripped of that right. The right to return to their homes, to live on the land their ancestors inhabited for hundreds of generations, and to celebrate a culture cultivated over thousands of years. These events do prove a painful truth. When aggression and ethnic cleansing are met with silence, they do not cease, they grow. That silence has emboldened Azerbaijan, and now we are watching the bullying and extortion of Armenia itself unfold at the negotiating table. In fact, only last month, Azerbaijan and Armenia signed what was hailed as a historic peace deal. But I ask, Mr. President, is this truly peace, or is it merely codification of injustice? The agreement ignores the ongoing plight of the ethnically cleansed Armenians of Artsakh. It contains no commitment to end Azerbaijan's cultural erasure, no demand for the release of Armenian hostages, and no guarantees that the people of Artsakh will ever be allowed to return safely to their homes, as they should. Worse still, this so-called peace rewards Azerbaijan's campaign of ethnic cleansing with a corridor carved straight through internationally recognised Armenian territory. The parallels between the 1915 Armenian genocide, which saw over 1.5 million Armenians annihilated at the hands of the Ottoman Turks, and today's events are undeniable. While we are witnessing here is a continuation of those same genocidal policies, and that's evidenced by the sheer brutality displayed by Azerbaijani soldiers during the conflict, and that includes extrajudicial executions, mutilations, beatings, and beheadings of Armenian soldiers and of civilians. As the University Network for Human Rights reported, over half of these extrajudicial killings were perpetrated against elderly civilians, and nearly a third of the killings took place after a ceasefire had been reached in 2020. The torture and murder of these people were often circulated on social media sites such as Telegram, where you can hear the cheering of Azerbaijani soldiers in the background. Utterly horrific. The most chilling story within this report was the killing of an intellectually disabled woman, Alvard Tovmezyan. When her body was recovered in 2021, forensic analysis revealed that her feet, her hands, her left ear, the tip of her tongue were cut off while she was still alive, and she later died of blunt force trauma to the head. The report identifies dozens of similar cases involving both physical and psychological torture, almost entirely committed against unarmed people, civilians. The soldiers committed these acts with impunity, despite investigations and substantial evidence compiled by trusted NGOs and reporters. The Azerbaijani justice system has failed to hold these war criminals to account, and no one has been called to account for these crimes. The fact that these acts have occurred and gone unpunished is not surprising, however. Azerbaijan's government openly promotes racial hatred towards Armenians amongst its people, which prominent Azerbaijani leaders refer to those people who are Armenian as, and I quote them here, a disease, cancerous tumours, as a virus. It's horrific, it's othering, it's dehumanising, and it must be called out. This discourse by Azerbaijan's leaders have inevitably bled into its mainstream society. Words matter, leadership matters, and we can see here that leadership has led to this. And in response to the 2020 conflict, an Azerbaijani football club put out a statement saying, and I quote them, "We must kill Armenians, no matter whether a woman, a child, an old man. We must kill everyone we can. We should not feel sorry. we should not feel pity. Again, it's just horrific. This hatred is not just limited, of course, to talk. It is seen in state-run programs and policies. In 2020, the Azerbaijani government opened a military trophy park featuring grotesque and degrading statues of defeated Armenians. A military trophy park. And in 2021, Azerbaijan began producing a commemorative stamp showing a split-screen image of an Azerbaijani soldier and a man in a chemical biohazard suit standing over a map of Azerbaijan and fumigating the area of Nagorno-Karabakh, clearly symbolising the supposed cleansing of Armenians from that region. And with Azerbaijan now occupying sovereign Armenian territory, the cost of silence towards this hatred is mounting. If that silence persists, we may yet again witness the destruction of Armenia itself and the erasure of its indigenous people from a homeland that they have inhabited for thousands of years. Our silence is complicity. It is why we must speak up, and state parliaments like ours have a role to play. Unless the international community, including our own governments, finally step up and speak out and condemn Azerbaijan's litany of war crimes, Azerbaijan will continue to get what it wants, which, in dictator Ilham Aliyev's own words, where he said, Yerevan, which is Armenia's capital, is our historical land, and we, the Azerbaijanis, must return to these historical lands. This is our political and strategic goal, and we must gradually approach it, will not be challenged. We must refuse to let that rhetoric become reality. President Aliyev's declaration that Yerevan is a historical land cannot be allowed to serve as a roadmap for aggression. And the international community of which we are part, including this government, including our federal government, and our leadership here in this nation must take concrete measures. And they are concrete measures that this motion calls for. And Mr. President, I do hope that we will see bipartisan support on this matter. The community here are yearning for it. They are looking to us for leadership. And I commend not just the Honourable Connie Benares for bringing this motion here to this place, but also the member for West Torrens and his leadership in the other place today. September is a time of significance for many reasons with regards to this debate. None of them to be celebrated, and I hope that we can all come together to call out what is utterly horrific and stand together as one to end the silence that has currently been prevailing against such injustice.